The battle, which has lasted for more than a year, is approaching its bloodiest point. Pokrovsk burns, Mirnorad shakes from artillery, and Russians advance slowly. The Ukrainian command is facing a decision we've already seen in Bakhmut or Avdiivka: defend to the last bullet or retreat to save what can be saved. But this time, it's about much more than just one city. Before us is the image of a front that is breaking. Pokrovsk is in ruins, the Dobropilsky Salient has a new story, and Ukraine is building its last line of defense behind it. That's not all. Kupiansk's northern defense is collapsing, with drones tracking every move. In this video, we'll use current maps to highlight 3 key locations deciding the war's outcome. You're watching Zahran Itsami. Let's begin. A battle lasting over a year. Pokrovsk, a city that since July 2024 has become one of the war's bloodiest battlefields. More than 15 months of continuous attacks, air raids, and ground incursions. The front advanced not by kilometers, but by houses, rooms, and staircases. Today, Russian units advance from the south, east, and north. Every block is a battle and every street a trap. The situation is critical in the south, with Russians breaking into the city. Deep State reports Pokrovsk is almost surrounded on 3 sides. The map shows just a narrow 10-kilometer bottleneck between Russian wedges, with the Ukrainian army holding a 3-kilometer wide strip. Behind it is no man's land, then the Russians. If this corridor closes, thousands of Ukrainian soldiers will be trapped, and being surrounded is every soldier's nightmare. The Russians have overwhelming superiority in this sector. President Zelensky says up to 170,000 soldiers have been deployed to capture Pokrovsk, with an 8-to-1 force ratio. Russians are already in the city, with assault and sabotage groups infiltrating destroyed districts. Units 132 are fighting for them. Of the 98th Motorized Rifle Brigade, of the Guards Airborne Division, or parts of the 41st Army, the Ukrainians deployed the 32nd and 110th against them. Brigade, supported by engineers, drone operators, and 5th Heavy Mechanized Brigade Special Forces. Every day, dozens of street shootouts and hundreds of first-person view drone attacks take place here. Ukrainian artillery fires back using M777 howitzers and Panzer Haubitze 2000. The weather is working against them. Fog and rain reduce the range of drones that would otherwise be able to stop many Russian attacks. That is likely one reason the Russians have been so successful lately. There is chaos in Pokrovsk, so it's very difficult to assess the situation, but according to some, they already control more than half of the city. The Russians have destroyed all bridges into the city, making evacuation of the wounded nearly impossible. Lieutenant Natalia Stoykova from the 5th Brigade describes that Ukrainian soldiers lack everything, from engineers who could build temporary bridges to basic technical equipment. In the streets of Pokrovsk, what one of the majors of the Ukrainian army called stable chaos prevails. The city is defending itself, but it's getting tougher. Ukrainians hold just the city's western part and a narrow corridor to Mirnorad. Pokrovsk is no longer a transportation hub. It used to supply the entire eastern front, but today it's an isolated fortress where every house is fought over. And although the Russians don't have full control yet, the pressure is increasing by the hour. Dozens of attacks happen here daily, sometimes accounting for up to a third of all frontline attacks. Pokrovsk is holding, but pressure is increasing. If it falls, which now seems inevitable, it will let the Russians advance further. Ukrainians' last hope is at the Dobropilsky Salient, where they're pushing Russians back. There, it will be decided if the line holds or the front collapses west. Dobropilsky Salient, the last hope, just a few kilometers north of Pokrovsk. The front takes on a strange shape, a narrow salient that the Ukrainians are desperately defending to prevent the Russians from advancing further. This so-called the Dobropilsky Salient was formed in the summer of 2025. It was created by a Russian breakthrough that pushed about 15 kilometers deep into Ukrainian positions. Instead of a straight line, the front bent into a dangerous arc that is now hanging by a thread. But the Ukrainians, realizing the great danger, switched from defense to counterattack in this area. And as the Deep State map shows, they have managed to practically clear the salient. Analyst Konstantin Mashavets said, that in October they halted the Russian advance and liberated several dozen square kilometers. The salient, which once threatened to become an open gateway for Russian tanks, was pushed back all the way to the villages of Volodymyrka and Shakov. But the price was high, a large number of casualties and exhausted brigades. However, the Russians are not giving up here either. They've massed forces near Krasny Lyman and are advancing toward Rodinsky and Attrition. Their goal is to join forces here and launch a major pincer movement to encircle the Pokrovsk and Mirnorod sector. Ukrainian intelligence says the 20th Army and the 150th units are active in this area. Motorized rifle division with artillery support. The Dobropilsky salient holds symbolic and practical importance for Ukraine. It's the only place left where they can maneuver, rotate units, and move supplies to Pokrovsk. If this part of the line falls as well, the road to Pavlohrad will open. That would mean that for the first time since the beginning of the invasion, the Russians would have the opportunity to penetrate deeper into Ukrainian territory beyond Donbass and get closer to the Dnipro. Ukrainian defense depends on improvised positions, with fields full of mines, barricades, and wrecked equipment. The infantry fights from individual strongpoints, not from long trenches. That's how they designed the new defenses behind Pokrovsk. Drones scan every road at night. Every hill is contested during the day. And although Ukrainian units managed to push back the salient, no one is sure for how long. The Russians could bring more forces from the south, possibly breaking the line again. The Dobropilsky salient is more than just part of the front. It's the last hope that the Russian advance will stop before the Russian pincers close around Pokrovsk. If that happens, Ukraine will have just one area left in Donbass, the core of its power in the region, the Sloviansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration. The lines beyond Pokrovsk, the last wall of defense. West of Pokrovsk, there is something that could decide the fate of the entire Donetsk region. Ukraine has been building this new defensive line for over a year. A network of trenches, barriers, and strongpoints meant to halt the Russian advance if Pokrovsk falls. The initial work began as early as the beginning of 2024. Satellite images revealed dug-up land stretching for dozens of kilometers, with dragon's teeth placed along them. These are concrete triangles that prevent tanks and other heavy equipment from moving. Today, this defense is no longer just a single line, but an entire system. French analyst Clément Molly describes it as a network of several zones with a total depth of 30 to 40 kilometers. You are viewing his map displaying the defensive lines. In the circle on the left is Pavlohrad in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Each zone contains anti-tank ditches, barbed wire strips, minefields, and smaller infantry positions that are deployed separately. They aren't in long trenches, but in separate camouflage bunkers, hidden in fields, groves, and old ruins. Their task is to protect the rest of Ukraine if Donbass falls. Ukrainians have learned from the past. After the fall of Avdiivka and Bakhmut, they understood that a classic front line is a deadly trap in the age of drones and precision artillery. That's why the new defense is not continuous, but dispersed. From afar, it appears chaotic, but it's actually an interconnected network of overlapping points. West of Pokrovsk, everything today is one big construction site for the army. Locals mention thousands of tons of concrete brought here in recent months. Some positions are already ready to be occupied. Others are being built in an accelerated mode. However, the problem is not the quality of the defense itself, but the question of whether there will be anyone to defend the positions. Ukraine is known to have a major infantry problem. Many units meant to occupy it are still fighting in Pokrovsk and Mirnorod. If they have to withdraw, they will be exhausted and weakened. But even so, this defensive line in Ukraine might still gain something. For Attrition, it means another day to regroup and reinforce troops. Ukraine is now trying to prevent a repeat of the Avdiivka scenario, when after the fall of the city, the entire line quickly collapsed. If this time the defense can be stabilized, it could be the point where the Russian advance finally stops. So it's not just another line behind Pokrovsk. It's the point where it may be decided if the front will hold or if the war will push further into Ukraine. But Pokrovsk isn't the only city where Russians are pushing Ukrainians to their limits. Kupiansk, too, a city becoming a gray zone. If we were to look for another place where the front is burning just like near Pokrovsk, it would be the city of Kupiansk. While southern Donetsk is in ruins, northeastern Ukraine is quietly deteriorating. No large tank assaults or convoys, just steady pressure, infiltrations, and battling for every house. Kupiansk, the city Ukraine freed during the euphoric autumn of 2022. Today, 3 years after that offensive, it's burning again. Its story is a warning. Liberating territory doesn't guarantee lasting victory. Recent deep state data shows Russians advancing into Kupiansk from the north, with much of the city now a gray zone. The Ukrainians still hold the south and east of the city. It's not a typical front. It's a maze of streets, basements, and ruins with fighting from room to room. Ukrainian sources report Russians are wearing civilian clothes, hiding in basements, and launching ambush attacks around the city. After the fighting, they take the gear of the fallen and disappear into the shadows. Kupiansk is now a symbol of new generation warfare. Everything here is watched by drones. Constant buzzing overhead, patrols of operators fighting for control of the air. Every generator, every sound can mean death, because the Russians search for targets by noise. Several Ukrainian positions have fallen simply because an engine was heard at night. Vostochnik and deep state channels report the city is in chaos with no organized defense. The Ukrainian command is working to stabilize the western bank of the Oskil River. This city, which had a population of almost 30,000 before the war, stretches along its banks. But there is increasing talk that if Kupiansk were to fall definitively, the units east of the river would have to withdraw. Many of them are already under fire, and supplying them is extremely difficult. Russians here use the same tactics as in Pokrovsk, small groups infiltrating deep into the city. Unlike in Donbass, they use infantry and reconnaissance units here instead of large armored formations. Kupiansk is not just a symbol, but also a key logistical hub after its 2022 liberation. All Eastern Front supply routes from Lyman to Siversk ran through it. Today, however, most of them are under direct fire. Civilian evacuations are ongoing, but many people remain in basements and refuse to leave. According to estimates by open-source intelligence analysts, most of the city is de facto under Russian control, but their positions are not consolidated. Ukrainians are ambushing Russians as chaotic battles rage, with the front line shifting by only tens of meters. Kupiansk has become a chaotic laboratory where traditional military strategies have failed. Though smaller than Pokrovsk, which had over 60,000 residents before the war, its fall would still have a major impact. The Ukrainian command would have to reorganize the defense along the entire northeastern section to prevent the Russian advance towards Kharkiv. Kupiansk and Pokrovsk, two cities, two faces of one war, both under drones, in ruins, and facing the same question: how much longer can they be defended? Conclusion: an unending front. Pokrovsk, Mirnorad, Dobropilsky, Kupiansk. Places once unknown to most people have now become symbols, not of propaganda but of exhaustion. Symbols of a war that is no longer about territory but about who can endure longer. The front shifts, but its logic stays. When one city falls, another burns. Each Ukrainian retreat costs many lives and entire villages. Behind all this are people who have forgotten life before the sirens. Ukrainian defense now relies on new lines. A line of fortifications extends from Pokrovsk for kilometers into Ukrainian territory. Mines, dragon's teeth, and concrete barriers. Tens of thousands of hours spent to stop another breakthrough. But every soldier knows a wall is useless without someone to defend it. If Pokrovsk falls, Dobropilsky will be exposed. Behind it are Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, the twin cities at the heart of Ukrainian-held Donbass. The decisive regional battle will occur there. If this line falls, Russia could claim full control of Donbass after years of bloody fighting. If Kupiansk falls, the road to Kharkiv will open for the Russians. And between these 2 points, hundreds of kilometers apart, lies Ukraine, a country still fighting, but with shrinking reserves as its population declines. Some say the war is reaching a dead end, that both sides are exhausted, that there's nowhere left to go. But on the maps that very important person state draws every day, there's no dead end, only lines that slowly, quietly shift. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate a like, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. I'm working on. You can support my work through gratitude, and if you want to help the video reach more people, click on praise. I appreciate it.